back to another custom tactics video. Today's the 442 second variant, top 200 in the world, so pro player, custom tactics and instructions. Let's get straight into it. So last video did the 442. This is obviously the slightly more defensive version. You can see very similar formation. We just got two CDMs instead of two centre mids. Personally, one of my favourite defensive formations in the game. So let's get straight in with the custom tactics first. So defensive style, we're going to be sticking with balance. I don't feel we need to use a press, and I only really use presses on attacking formations. It's not as that attacking formations, we're going to be sticking with balance. Width, we're going to use 40, making it a tad narrower than just it is normally, just making it harder for your opponents to get through when you're defending. And for the depth, we're using 50. We don't want to play a too high line because once again, it's not a two attacking formation. We don't need that, but 50 still works well. You're not too deep that you have no position, and you're going to win the ball back in a reasonable sort of time as well. So 50 depth and 40 width works well. For the build-up plate, we're going to be using balanced. I really like using balance. It just gives you the most freedom on the ball. When I'm playing more attacking, sometimes I use fast build-up, but that's really the only other one I use. Balance works best. And chance creation, the meta this year is just direct passing. It's as simple as that. Forward runs can work well. Possession, not particularly. Balance sometimes, but direct passing is just so good. Pushing those players forward, making your strikers push forward on runs. It's as simple as it sounds. Direct passing. That is pretty much so self-explanatory, but it works so well. For the width, we're going to be using 50, trying to keep the shape as much as possible. If we push it out too wide, then your left mid and right mid are going to be too far up against the touchline, which works well on some formations, but in this formation, it sort of really pushes them out of the game. And then you don't have a huge amount of players in the midfield. You sort of want that slightly narrower support, and you don't want your left mid and right mid out of the game just because they're too close to the touchline. For the players in box, we're using 6 to push more players into the opposition box. Overloading the opposition box is pretty much self-explanatory once again. It's just going to get you more goals, isn't it? More players in their box. Pass it around easier around their box. More attacks, more goals. It's that simple. Corners 2 and free kicks on 2. So for the player instructions, I recommend both strikers stay central, stay in the centre of the pitch in line with the goal, not just that wide as that is your left mid and right mid job. Getting behind, making forward runs behind the opposition defenders, and personally I use basic defence support on this formation. Most formations I stick with stay forward. This one I'm going to use basic defence support just because there's quite a big gap between the CDMs and the strikers, and you sometimes want them to drop back a bit, so basic defence support works well. That is on both your strikers, stay central, get in behind, and the other two default. For the two CDMs, for these, probably the most important positions on the pitch. Cut passing lanes is a key on both of them, as well as cover centre, so they're staying in their position, not just in that wide, and trying to cut off the opposition passing lanes when they're attacking, which is very important to do. So that is on both of them, cut passing lanes, cover centre. Now personally what I like to do, you can change it if you want to, but what I like to do is have one on stay back while attacking, which is usually the left one. Doesn't matter who, but I usually have my more defensive play on stay back while attacking, staying back in the CDM position and not pushing up. And then I have the other one filling in that huge gap you have between your strikers right here. And you do the exact same, so they're still playing CDM. It's not pushing them hard at the pitch when defending, they're still defending in CDM, but they're more like a box-to-box midfielder, and you use get forward for this. So when you're attacking, they're going forward while the other one sits back, but they're still coming back to defend in the same position. So it literally just a box-to-box midfielder. It is that simple. For the left mid and right mid, just leave completely default. There's no reason to change these, it sort of messed them up a bit. Default works fine. For the fullbacks, I recommend stay back while attacking. When you've already got wide players, there's not really much need for your fullbacks to be overlapping, but you may as well turn overlap on anyway, just in case they sometimes do make a run. But you want to try and ensure that they are staying back, because you don't need your fullbacks going forward and drawing them out of position. But if you want to manually make runs with them as well, you can do that. Two centre backs always leave default, and for your goalkeeper, make sure you use comes to crosses, so your keeper's coming off his line more to defend corners and crosses. And at sweeper keeper, being more aggressive, coming outside his box, challenge the opponent for loose balls and through balls coming into your box. Once your goalkeeper has the ball in his hands, you're not going to lose it until you pass it away or something like that. So just try and get the ball with your goalkeeper's hands as much as possible. It is that simple. That's the 442 top 200 pro player custom tactic and instructions. So 442 second variant, more defensive, but a really good formation. I recommend giving it a go. One of my favourite formations to get used to in the game. You've got the box-to-box midfielder, you've got the CDM as well, helping out midfield, and you've got winger options, and you get two striker options. So it's a really good formation. That's everything for today's video, guys. So thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your day. We'd greatly appreciate it if you could subscribe. It really helps me out. But thank you for watching anyway, and goodbye.